25 to 45 is such an important part of life, and having gone through that phase of my life, I wanted to share with you 5 things that I did to help me make millions of dollars, make better decisions, and get on the right financial path. And this isn't about, hey, look what I did. It's about, here are a few tidbits of advice that I can give all of you watching this video to help you make better decisions. And I think I've chosen 5 here that all 5 of you can follow along with. There aren't any outliers here. All of you can grind in and accomplish a lot by following these 5 tips. The very first thing I did was I bought a home. And my wife and I bought our first home when I was in my 20s, but we bought a second home in our 30s, and we actually bought a third home in my 30s as well. And every time we bought a home, we pushed ourselves. And that's my challenge to all of you, is understand your financial situation, what you can afford, but also maybe push yourself if you feel comfortable with that. Again, that's my personality. And every time we've purchased a home, it's been, okay, this is kind of on the nth degree of what we can afford, but I'll pick up, some extra night shifts, I'll do some extra work, I'll, do extra woodworking stuff, whatever it is. But we pushed ourselves every time. Again, that's my personality. It's definitely not my wife's personality, but we came together, we found homes that we loved, and we found ways to get it done. And I encourage all of you to do it. I know the BC Ontario housing market has skyrocketed. It's become almost unaffordable. Things have cooled off a little bit. Keep working for it. Get into the housing market, whether it's condo, townhouse, duplex, house, whatever it is. Figure out a way to get into the housing market and start building wealth through the tax-free benefit of a principal residence. The second thing my wife and I did was we lived on a budget. And we had a bit of a budget in our 20s, but we were both working, we had no kids. It was a lot easier to not go into debt. And so when we hit our 30s, we started having kids. We now have 4 kids. Life's expensive. Life is very expensive, and we had to rein it in and live on a budget and figure out what we're making, what we're spending, and also focusing for the future too. Not just for today, but trying to save a little bit for down the road as well, because as hopefully most of you know, and we'll have more of this on this channel, but compound interest can really work in your favor. And my wife and I want that to happen for us. So we've been diligent to start saving along with our daily budget. If you need a good budget template, we've created one in-house here for Parallel Wealth. I'll put that link below. It's a free download. Grab that budget and start working on your budget and figuring out where you're spending too much and areas where you can cut, things you can trim out of your budget that you're not using anymore. Maybe it's a subscription, start biking to work versus driving, all those types of things. Those little bits of money make a long difference long term. The third thing my wife and I focused on was maxing out our TFSA account. And every single year through our 30s, our focus was to save and max out our TFSA account, our tax-free savings account. We also focused on the RSP. We want that retirement income. We needed the tax breaks, all of that. But we focus on the TFSA and maxing those out and allowing, again, upsizing our house as best we could along the way, because that's tax-free, and building out our tax-free savings account. Again, the tax-free savings account is a wonderful tool to start saving money, investing money, absolutely tax-free. So if you're not using a tax-free savings account, make sure to do some research, learn about them, how they work, how you can invest in them, what they're good for, and start using them. That works well for you. The fourth transition I made in my 30s, and I really encourage all of you to do this, is to focus on experiences versus things. And I think as you come through teenager into your 20s, you start making money and you start buying things, right? You have money, you're not used to it, and you as soon as it comes in, it's going out the door. And those things that you buy typically, decay, they devalue, they're gone. They're absolutely gone. The experiences are a different story. And that's what I found in my 30s, and I'm in my 40s now, and kind of learning that as well, and that experiences last a lifetime. Things typically don't. And so we've transitioned to experiences. So if I can encourage you, if you have a budget for travel and things, consider what you're spending money on. Again, we'll do more videos on around the cost of things and how that costs you in the future. But again, you got to spend money, you got to enjoy life now with an eye on the future as well. But I encourage you to transition from spending your money on stuff that you get nothing out of or it's short term. I'll use my example. My 7-year-old son, he comes to me every day with his Roblox game. And there's always something to buy. And every day is $2, $3, $5, $6. And I keep telling him, no. And so he'll save up his allowance and he'll buy something. And the next day, he's not playing with it anymore. And I feel as adults, we often do that as well. We look at our kids and say, that's a waste of money. But we often don't turn that on ourselves and say, you know what, Adam, this is a waste of money. You shouldn't be buying it. The fifth and final thing I did, and this had the biggest impact financially for me, was I pushed myself to areas that I was uncomfortable in. And this right here, YouTube, is the perfect example of that. I'm not the type, I don't like public speaking. I don't like speaking to large groups of people at all in any situation. And for some reason, I don't mind talking to the camera. And I've talked to many people that hate talking to the camera. But my point is, you need to find those things that you're uncomfortable with that will grow you, either make you more money, educate you further, advance your career, whatever it is. There's many avenues that you can go down with this train of thought. But the idea is to push yourself into uncomfortable situation. And I worked with someone many years ago, and he always told me, Adam, you have to have at least 12 heart in the throat conversations. So getting into financial planning, when I got in originally, it was around, selling mutual funds and insurance and kind of your typical, mutual fund salesperson. And he said to have any success, you have to have at least one a month heart in the throat conversations. And that means like where you feel uncomfortable, like you're sitting there, you're doing the right thing, but you're stretching yourself. You're maybe talking to a business owner. You're doing something that you don't normally do, but it's going to grow your career. It's going to grow you personally. And so I challenge all of you to push out, to find areas that you're uncomfortable in. Maybe it's, you want to learn to do something. Again, I got into woodworking. So that was something for me in my 30s that I learned. I dug into it. I sold some stuff on there. It was a hobby of mine. It kept me out of trouble. And so I encourage you all, find those things. Like, what are those things in the back of your head that you've always wanted to do, you just haven't got to yet? Start doing those things as you head through your 30s. Educate yourself, learn more things. It'll allow you hopefully to make more money, be more confident as you head into your 40s, 50s, and hit those really good earning years.